One. Boom. There we go. We're live, Oren. Great to have you on the show today, Oren. How you doing?
Good, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do this one today. It's a lot of fun. We were mentioning just having a quick chat beforehand and things that we want to look at today, like image improvement, very important, Oren, and what we're doing. But this is the first time we met, so I'd love for you to share with the audience and the people that are tuning in today, either on the recording or the live. Maybe just give a bit of a background to who you are, Oren. Like, how did you get into Visionary AI, and how did you come to co-found this and lead the business to where it is today? Was it by chance? Have you always been in imagery, or was it a different background that you kind of segued into? Tell us your story, man.
So, I worked in a few startups before Visionary, and my background's actually business development and sales. Um, a lot of interest in the uh, image processing space and seeing the impact that AI has on
Yeah,
improving cameras and improving image quality.
yeah,
Um, and I founded the company with my co-founder Yoav, and I met him, uh, and we developed the idea together. And Yoav brought new insights and said, "Wait a minute! If you could improve quality uh, of cameras
yeah,
using AI, you could also improve machine vision. You can improve AI by using AI." And
nice.
that and my co-founder comes with about 16 years of experience pioneering technologies, dozens of patents that he wrote. So a lot of experience, and he's the CTO today.
Nice.
Um, and we formed the company together to bring it where it is today.
Love that, man. Love that. And you were saying as well, so you used to be in like when you were in the sales roles and business development roles, was that in areas that did just remind me, was that areas that did similar to what you're doing now, or like kind of gave you that spark and idea with your co-founder?
No, so they're software companies.
Yeah,
So that is similar because we are doing software. The
yeah,
last company I worked in was computer vision, using
yeah.
computer vision technology, but a bit
Nice.
different than what we're doing here.
Yeah,
I saw in the market that cameras are getting better. There's the expensive high-end cameras; they're not
yeah,
getting any cheaper. But all of a sudden, you have cheaper cameras that are
yeah,
getting better by using the power of AI. And there's a lot of academic articles coming out, and Google recently released an article. So it's
yeah.
very clear it's a hot topic, and we saw while founding the company, me and Yoav, that there's a lot of customer traction. And we saw, okay, we're definitely in the right place. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people here.
Well, everyone's capturing imagery right now. Like you look at it, and I was saying on another episode, I watched the reveal of the first iPhone. What was that, like back in 2007 or something? It was like 10 years ago, or like 15-year anniversary back in June or whenever it was released, and it was showing like the megapixel of a camera, and it's just like now it's just ridiculous what we have available at our fingertips. It's part of like a much bigger package. You don't have to. Obviously, you still need to go out and get like the Nikons or precise. Imagery if you're on a manufacturing line to predict downtime or whatever, but it's wild, right? Like how much has changed in the past 5-10 years.
Yeah, and you can see that AI and software is definitely a big contributor.
Yeah,
Looking at the mobile phone space, I like referencing Google Pixel. If you look at, they have one of the leading smartphone cameras on the market.
yeah,
But for the last few models, their camera on their mobile was the same camera. The hardware is the same
right,
sensor, but it keeps improving because
yeah,
Google realized the secret for improving cameras, the steroids behind everything, is the software and AI.
yeah,
And then what we see is that this software could be licensed to other players within the market to
yeah.
improve their sensors.
I like that, man. That's cool. And I think it's quite cool. Maybe walk us through. Have you seen like any particular applications that you're dealing with, Aaron, over your time, looking at imagery and looking at image recognition, or like you said, computer vision? What's like some of the coolest applications you're seeing? Because I used to work in engineering, and that's how it is. Funnily enough, how I kind of got my first insight to AI and kind of led me down a rabbit hole of figuring what all this shit was. I'm thinking, how does this work? How does that work? But it was like imagery for recognition on parcels in Hermes, so in a big logistics provider, especially over here, and they've recently rebranded. But they massive hubs, and they used it all computer vision. And I thought for like RFID scanners and stuff, just to track it and place it and sort it, and that was just on returns, let alone all the ones that were actually going out for the first time. Have you got any examples of like where you've seen like real cool things happen in the past few years where you've kind of thought, wow, never seen that before?
So there are so many image sensors which are being produced and different use cases which are being evolved. From applications from satellite imagery to drone imagery to security cameras, doorbell cameras, vacuum cleaners. Every car today have cameras in them, multiple cameras, baby monitors, literally in every aspect you have cameras. And what they all have in common, pretty much what they all have in common is they all suffer from difficult conditions. Even, are speaking with some companies in the medical space, endoscopy, where, there's very low light, the sensors are very, very small. Cameras are being used in every element that we're familiar with today. The amount of cameras being used is growing. And I think the pandemic also in the last recent years is a contributor. People are working with the cameras pretty much all day long. More machine vision applications are being implemented, even from farming to industrial applications. And it's automating tasks. And I think we're a big contributor to that. And almost every image sensor could be leveraging our software. There's probably 7 billion sensors, more sensors than humans in the world, which is a crazy fact. And maybe not all of them. There's probably like 15% that don't work, that have good lighting and everything's perfect. But all the rest, everybody's looking to improve their systems and improve their cameras.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's like, what does it say? That there's 6.4 billion connected objects this year. And it's going to this was quite a while ago, actually. That's an old article. So it said that it'd be around 20.8 billion by 2020, like sensors and things that are connected. That's insane, because I think on the other one, and that was by Wired magazine. And there was another one that I was looking at around that said there's like 15 billion mobile phones in the world. And you just think some of them being used by multiple people and stuff. Do you remember that Pokemon Go and people had 30 phones on the back of their thing and they're all going around and they're all using imagery, right? And it's just like you said, to put it in more other aspects, like when you're going into hospital or when security or when you're going through farming, special aerial now, more and more things are being sent up into space to capture image recognition. And there was a really cool one that Google is being used by the French government at the moment. And I saw Kieran Gilmurray, a great guy for anyone listening to go follow. He was looking at how Google were using it, image recognition, to spot if people had swimming pools, because it's like a massive tax haven over there, and see if they had extensions and extension on the house, and if they weren't paying proper taxes for the value of the house. And you think that's wild. The space, it's just taking pictures, feeding it back to the government, saying they're dodging tax. How crazy is that? Who would have thought that 5 years ago?
You always learn about new use cases. You said mobile phones. The thing about there's billions of phones, but now every phone, I remember a few years ago, you'd see 2 cameras and you'd be like, wow, 2 cameras. And now you see 4 cameras. There's billions of phones, and each phone has a few sensors. So the amount of cameras is just incredible. We always learn about new use cases and customers that reached out to us through our website, from the ovens to refrigerators to I didn't even know there was a camera in a refrigerator. But everybody's getting to the machine vision space because it's really a breakthrough AI, which the technology now is possible and accessible.
Yeah, I like that. So just walk us back to it. So you saw and just go a bit deeper around with what you're doing, Visionary. I think it's awesome, and got a few points I want to talk to you around, because there's some real interesting points. I want to know how companies can, or how when you're doing it, you can remove things like blur and noise and do true night vision, because that's becoming, if you look at military or you look at engineering or look at robots and stuff, so they can work throughout the night or whatever. And I don't know if that's correct. That's just me assuming. But what was there a key problem that you and your and you listed it earlier, and I'd love to just expand on it. Was it one key problem, or is it multiple? And you were thinking, this has really hit a nerve with me, that people can't, or businesses can't have access to this kind of information at the moment. What was it that kind of built this up and built your kind of problem-solving business?
Well, Yoav and I saw that there's some great things happening in the high-end camera space, and in the mobile phone market. Really, everybody today, people with their digital cameras are able to get better quality than you could have on a professional DSLR camera. There's some amazing things happening. Picture quality and features that consumer really value. And expectations are increasing. And we saw that, there's software 2.0 and software 2.0. the ISP, what we're doing, image signal processing today is hardware based. What Tesla calls software 1.0, which is software written by humans. And what we're doing is software 2.0, which is software written by optimization and AI. And all of a sudden you have an ISP, image processing, which is far more advanced. And you're able to get much more out of the signal and squeeze much more out of the image sensor to get much more. And the AI running on that wasn't available just a few years ago. There's something which is new, and we believe that our approach to ISP, making it software-based opposed to hardware, is the future. It's going to become the industry standard. Eventually, hardware ISP is going to be completely obsolete.
Yeah, I like that. So what would you say then? I never really like to look at limitations or problems because I always say, Oren, it's easy to be negative. It's a lot harder to be optimistic. But I always think, what opportunities are there to give us a flavor for companies that are looking at using what you do? Like how such a signal processing and denoising, how does this help a company? What does it allow? What opportunities does it unblock for them? Maybe I'm not saying to your customers, but maybe in like broader speaking, like a specific industry, maybe manufacturing, or like you said, healthcare, or like you said, farming, or whatever it might be. Give us an example. How can this unlock new opportunities for them? You mentioned them earlier that they can do all of it, but what kind of tangible benefits have you seen around?
So today, the limitation with hardware ISP is that you're losing a lot of data. So essentially, the sensor is capturing the data. The data exists. Whoever's a photographer listening in is familiar with the raw data. Any professional photographer takes images in raw data. And if you're an amateur, you're taking it in, no offense, in JPEG or a compressed format. But in the raw data, the data exists. But when you're doing a standard image processing, some of that data is being lost. And that's, people don't even realize how much data could be saved, how much more you could squeeze out of the lemon. And that's essentially what we're doing, providing steroids to our customers to get much more out of the sensor. And this has implications because difficult conditions, you can see much better, but also for machine vision, which also opens up the door for many different applications. Now, with software 1.0, with hardware ISP, you have denoising and other capabilities, but they're just standard blocks. Like if you're familiar with white balance, color correction, with AI, you have a whole new opportunity to leverage new technologies and to really stay at state of the art and to get much more of that signal. And everybody wants more data, right? And everybody have to use cheaper hardware and upgrade their existing hardware with software. And that's essentially what we're enabling to do for any application that uses a sensor across all the different use cases.
Yeah. Do you think there's like some applications that aren't around yet with all the new technologies that are coming in? Like, I don't know, we've got new things coming in, like the metaverse. I'm not saying this is specific to that, but especially with smart vehicles, how have you seen that change? Or like connected vehicles like Tesla? Because I remember it was like, even I'm sure it was, what's his name, off Shark Tank, and Kevin O'Leary, and he was saying that his son like invested or was working at Tesla or something, and he said like this whole Tesla thing's a fad. He was like, it's not a company like to be involved. He's like, it's just a car company. And then he came back and was just like, look, every time that car goes on the road, it's collecting data. Every time that car goes to a spot, it's collecting data. Every time it's picking up imagery, it's understanding the roads, and it's being fed back. And it was like, so it's not a car company, it's a software company. And he said that's when he took the leap, or I think he said he invested in it or whatever. So how have you seen it change with all these new things? And God knows what else. You're seeing robots walk around with Boston Dynamics. You're seeing things get delivered on their own. How's this all affecting what we can do with the imagery space?
I think we're just in the beginning. I think that if you're looking at expectations, people were expecting by this point of time completely autonomous vehicles, and it would be much farther than what it is. And the reason why vehicles aren't today completely autonomous is because it's not safe. They're not as accurate as people hope they'd be. There's still flaws, mistakes happening on the road, false positives, false negatives. So there are cameras and there's a lot of investment going into this area, and there's a lot of opportunity. But the cameras just aren't where we'd expect them to be. And now we see ourselves as a piece of software that sits at the beginning of the pipeline, And then once it goes through our software, we're filtering it out, giving it a boost, adding in steroids, and the whole system performs better. Algorithms detect better, you're able to get much more information. So all the algorithms that exist remain the same, but with our input, they're performing better. And then cameras can be more safe and more accurate. And this has, very big impact in the automotive space, in the drones, or even in robotic dogs, like you said before, in any space where machine vision is being used. And as AI is becoming more powerful, this is helping collect and be more accurate and more safe.
Yeah. So how does the AI part work then? So if you're capturing all this imagery, how does that do you send it through or have you seen examples where you send it, you were mentioning earlier, so you send it through like machine learning and then it picks up patterns and it can say, okay, this is what we need to, how does that work? How does the AI combine with it?
So our core AI block is in our denoising technology. So we have a really state-of-the-art denoiser. So there are other AI denoisers that exist. And in academia, there are denoisers. But they're very, very heavy. They're not close to running in real time. When we're doing video images, you have to be very fast running in real time. And they're also very heavy. So they consume a lot of computing power. So it can't sit on the edge on a small processor, as we call production ready. It's far from being a product. What we have is a denoiser, which not only surpasses the state of the art in terms of denoising, but it also runs in real time on very small compute power. And this is something which is breakthrough, which has meaning for all different aspects of ISP and what improves the machine vision, because we're reducing the noise. You're improving detection. Noise is something which very much bothers the detection. It makes sense more than it even does for the human eye. And also with frustrating a picture or wide dynamic range, noise is one of the key issues with video quality and image quality in general.
Yeah, very cool, man. So how does it work then? So I've been looking through the website and been seeing of how it works with like nighttime and low light and fog and WDR, which I'm not too sure what WDR is, but using like signal processors. How does that all work? Why is that such a key thing?
Because with low light and with WDR, wide dynamic range, what the main issue is noise. So you can increase gain. There's solutions the camera can do to overcome it. But at the end of the day, you're having a lot of noise in the image. So the camera just limits the amount of gain it's increasing and how it adjusts itself because of the noise, signal to noise ratio. And because we have a good denoiser, we really are able to shine and bring a lot of value in those use cases. And tell you honestly, those use cases are the main ones. So you can say, okay, there's a lot of value in low light, so what? But what any AI expert would tell you, anybody that led a significant engineering team at an AI company would say, creating any system, any machine vision system to work 90% of the time is easy. Any first year, straight out of college student could write it himself. There's open source libraries to pretty much do everything. 95% of the engineering work goes into the edge use cases, right? Low light, glare, that's where the system falls. Those are where the issues exist. And that's where the investment goes in development. And that's exactly where Visionary.ai provides the most amount of power, the most amount of boost in those difficult conditions.
Yeah. Very cool, man. That's exciting. So what about when we were speaking earlier around with nighttime and looking at noise and what you were saying there, like I'm thinking of a specific example, like a license plate or something at night, or using something like being able to spot someone's face. Is that all possible? Is that how you can spot things and relay that information back to the customer and saying, this is what you need to be focusing on, or this is where you need to be investing in? Is that right? Is that kind of how it works, Oren?
So we're providing steroids to the camera, right? And every customer comes with his use cases, if it's just quality or also detection afterwards. And we show them that, hey, with your camera, if you're running our software, you're able to improve your detection by a factor of X. And we've literally had use cases where customers came to us with license plate recognition, and they said, okay, here's a state-of-the-art camera, which costs tens of thousands of dollars and was built just for license plate recognition, really a high-end camera. And we show them that with a very simple, cheap camera with our software, we're able to outperform the state-of-the-art camera. And that's just by improving the image processing. And it doesn't matter if it's light recognition, like in that use case, or if it's face detection, or if it's satellite imagery, or stomach surgery. The concept is the same. We sit in the pipeline, we're able to improve the signal, and the whole pipeline performs better.
Yeah, I like that. Because I saw some cool example on your website that has you're doing like parkour or something, and it can spot all the movement and everything. That's quite cool. You don't think about it like working that way, and you're just like, oh god, yeah, like people in sports and stuff, and that's a real cool benefit you got, right?
One of the leading parkour artists in the world, he's actually based in the UK.
Yeah.
We had the pleasure of working with him. But yeah, in every camera, there's an ISP. It exists in every image sensor. There's an ISP, and we believe that our goal is to be embedded into each camera, to be for our footprint to be there, and for our software to improve the camera, and for our camera software to be inside the camera to produce the best quality possible.
Yeah. So what happens when you get a really bad quality camera? So say if you put it into like an iPhone 5 or something, like which isn't even that bad, but people would consider it bad compared to like being in a I don't know, like Nikon or inside. I don't know what kind of street ones you get, but a high-res security camera. How does that affect things?
I usually say the worse the camera, the better for us. The less data it brings in, the bigger difficulties it has, the harder time it has in low light. So that's all good things for us, because that's exactly where we shine.
I like that. That's cool. So what do you see? What do you see then, Oren? Why do you think it's driving a lot of change? Like we were mentioning it earlier. Is it because of the applications, like in healthcare and drive, or is it something else? Because would you say it's more from what we can do, or is it more reactive, where because we're collecting more data, it's more needed?
I'm sorry, I might need to interrupt.
No. So when you're looking at things like, I'm just trying to understand like why imagery going forward now is obviously quite a big thing. I mean, look at it in the metaverse, like everyone needs imagery, everyone needs videos, everyone needs to be capturing that. But I'm just looking at what do you think is driving the change in this space? Or what do you think is bringing the next thing forward? What do you think the next thing is that we've not done before with this kind of stuff? Is it more fueled from the data side? Or, and I imagine it might be both, but is it more fueled from, well, now we've seen the applications of being able to do medical imagery and being able to really microscopically look at enzymes or proteins to understand how a particular, medicine works or something? Or is it being able to do all that aerial imagery? What do you think is really driving a lot of investment at the moment for this space?
So I'd say it's a lot to do also with awareness. When now people are aware that such amazing quality exists, and I think that's also the pandemic has to do with that. And also that there's now the AI power on the edge that didn't exist just a few years ago. A few years ago, running some sort of AI on the edge was impossible. And now, because of these amazing chips that are coming out and constantly becoming cheaper and cheaper, you have NVIDIA, Qualcomm, all these amazing AI chips, which are embedded, are all of a sudden making it possible to run such AI on the edge, or just a few years ago, it wasn't even possible at all. Providing steroids to cameras.
I like it. Steroids to cameras. That's a good tagline to have on it, man. And it's quite exciting to see it like going forward and what we can do with these kind of things. Because I always look at imagery and I think, wow, like everything being captured. And it always scares me that you think everything being captured at the moment, from pictures of me on nights out or pictures of me in my experiences or when I'm at conferences, my kids are going to be able to see it all. I can't really see much from my parents' days. It's very hard. And you think like businesses will be able to learn from it. Businesses will almost have a ridiculous profile on me, so they'll know exactly what I want to buy when I'm 50 years old or whatever, and they'll be able to plan that out. It's crazy. It's all done from imagery and videography, right?
I always say that eventually my grandchildren will tell me, what, you used to drive your car? Like, you used to drive it? How do you know not to run people over on the street? How not to hit other cars? because it's all going to be AI based, right? Everything's going to be completely automated. Every task that we do,
Yeah.
it's going to trickle into every aspect.
Yeah, you're talking about it, and not to digress from what we're talking about with automation. Though, do you reckon it's with these things that are all being automated? I'm all for an autonomous world. I just sometimes play devil advocate, but I do think being autonomous will bring more. And I always floor the stupid conversation that AI is taking jobs, because I just think it's not true. It's not been proven once yet. It's creating more and more jobs. It's just the skill sets going up. But do you think there are certain areas that won't ever be autonomous from imagery, or what's the kind of key ones? Because I'm picking up like car driving, which is going to be done from imagery. Are there other areas where you think where imagery is really going to allow it to turn autonomous?
I think AI is extremely powerful, far beyond our wildest dreams. And with great power comes great responsibility. But I think we don't know yet, especially I don't know, where all these applications are constantly running new applications, and see the impact that it has on the imagery world, right? Where a picture's worth 1,000 words. What impact we're able to bring, how much quality, how we're able to improve video quality and images far beyond what we even knew was possible just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's incredible. What do you think? What have you seen then, Oren? Just as wrapping up, and just want to ask you kind of a few questions. What do you reckon some of the biggest improvements you've seen, like over the past 10 years, have been with imagery? Has it been more like the applications? Has it been more the quality of imagery, or is it? If you had to prioritize one, I'm sure there's several factors that have determined its success, and there will be going forward. Like you said, we don't know. I always say I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner next week, let alone what's going to happen with the world or certain applications. But looking back and looking forward, have you seen any? Or to help us look forward, have you seen any applications that have really been like, wow, that was a big shift for imagery or a big change over the past 10, 15 years, or maybe over the past 2 years? I mean, the pandemic changed everything, sent everyone digital and sent everyone doing video calls, which most people didn't do.
I think there's a big impact in AI on the edge and applications that run on the edge. And edge computing was non-existent a few years ago, or almost non-existent. To run complete AI in an end product was virtually impossible. Now chip costs are going down. Also, you have servers which are more affordable. They say that right now everything's done in the cloud, and it's going to shift, and seems everything's going to be done on the edge in the next coming years because of the AI capabilities which are now possible. And constantly growing, getting stronger and cheaper. Amazing breakthroughs being done. And I think that's the gateway for all different machine vision applications, and to move to the edge, closer to the device. And where we have very good sweet spot, because we're running on the edge, we're leveraging all that amazing growth that's happening with the AI chips, and improving all those applications, and even the applications that run in the cloud, because we're sitting in the front, in the battlefront, right, where we capture the data.
I love that, man. Being on the front line, understanding it all, like from the bird's eye view, so getting all the top level insight. I love it, man. It's awesome. Oren, I really appreciate you joining us today. So it's been a lot of fun to look through these. I mean, it's an area I'm not too skilled up on, and that's why I bring you on to learn from the experts and learn from the people that are in it day to day. But really appreciate it. It's been a real fun chat, learning about visionary systems, learning what you're doing at Visionary.ai. Encourage anyone watching now or on the recording to check out what you're doing, check out what you and the team are doing, and see if you can help and see what you're building at the moment, and check out the cool applications like we mentioned with the parkour and through to the night vision, through to license plates and everything. So really appreciate you making the time today, Oren, and thank you for joining us on this session today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. To everyone else, look forward to seeing you on the next one, and we'll be back with another episode sometime soon. Speak soon, everyone.